Looks like you're not having sarsaparilla tonight. Say, what'd you say is going on down at Jake's place?
Some kind of poker tournament. A couple of the girls want to enter it. They'll likely win. I've seen them clean out a few fellas when they weren't paying attention.
You know, I ought to have one of those tournaments here at the nickel place. That is, if you'd split the winnings with me.
Poker's not my game. I prefer faro.
That's a surprise. A classy lady like you playing faro. I'd figured you for a poker player.
I know how, but truth is, I'd prefer to lose my money on the ponies. And there isn't a decent track from here to the Mississippi. It's a mite pathetic.
Charlie, you continue to amaze me. A good-looking girl like you ought to be able to find a nice gentleman to stake you to a racetrack.
Oh no, Zach. There's no return on that investment. You know I plan to take over for Miss Laurabelle when she retires.
You know, I've heard you mention that at least 100 times. But what makes you think Miss Laurabelle's going to retire? She's no spring chicken, but she's a good-looking woman. And she's been in that house for years.
I know that, but when I run the place, it's going to be the classiest place that Colorado City's ever seen. It'll be even more elegant than the one we have now. I'm grateful for everything that Miss Laurabelle's taught me, but I've got my own brand of class. And when I'm running the place, she'll be proud of me.
I'm sure you will. That is, if you stick around, but I know girls like you, Charlie. You guys land here from some town like Wichita or Cripple Creek, and then in a couple months you guys are gone to Denver or the next best place.
Why are you being so nasty tonight, Zach? If you don't start being nice to me, you can find yourself a new girl.
Ah, Bill. Didn't think you'd be in tonight. Good to see you. Come on in. You know, I don't know if Miss Laurabelle told you, but a while back, a young man came into my bar, and his uncle sent him in here for me to make a man out of him. So anyway, I guess he came from real righteous folks, and they just kind of shunned all kinds of worldly recreation. Anyway, so I looked at him, and I said, well, I think his name was Tom. I said, the first thing you're going to need one of these. A good shot of whiskey. So anyway, I poured us a couple shots, proposed a toast. Anyway, he fired his down without any expression at all. And he just kind of looks at me. Anyway, I said, I said, you're going to need one of these too. And I reached behind the bar and got the worst cigar I could get. I handed him the cigar. While he's puffing on that, I was burning from my bad whiskey. So while he was occupied, I poured myself some colored sugar water.
Oh, Zach.
So anyway, I said, son, isn't that the worst cigar you've ever had? And he says, why, no, sir, it's the first. So I'm sitting there and I'm burning for my own bad whiskey and choking on my own good cigar and questioning my own manhood for my colored sugar water. So I told him, I said, son, you're a born natural. We're going to skip steps 3 through 10. We're going to move you right along. So anyway, I said, son, you're going to need one of these. And I plopped a brothel token on the bar. And I looked up at the top of the stairs and I seen Miss Laurabelle up there. She was looking down on the proceedings laughing. I said, son, you take this up to Laurabelle and you get back with me in the morning. So he's walking up the stairs and I said, Laurabelle, I give you the boy. Return the man. I haven't seen hide nor hair, Tom, for about 3 weeks. So one day he comes strolling into my saloon, money falling out of his pockets, because apparently he's very proficient at gambling also. He comes up to the bar and he says, Zach, I want to thank you and I want to buy you a drink. So I poured us 2 shots of good whiskey, and we downed him, and I said, well, what can you tell me about your experiences? And he says, well, Zach, he says, Till you've had a good cigar and a good shot of whiskey, you're missing out on the second and third best things in life. You know, when Miss Florabelle and the other girls, they asked when that young Tom's going to come back to town again.
You know, that name does sound familiar to me. I think I've heard of Tom.
By God, Zach, I need a drink.
Who's
Oh,
that?
no, don't even.
Give me the good stuff.
Don't pay
give me
no-
that stuff. Don't
They don't mind it
now.
now.
I'm sorry, man. It's just I'm tired and hot and they. Oh. Well, I ain't seen you around here before. Howdy.
What you doing, Drew, you old drover stagecoach driver? I go, this is Miss Charlie Bell, and would you please kindly keep your eyes to yourself?
Okay.
Well, I don't know, Zach. You've been kind of fussy tonight. Introduce me to your fine friend here.
Yeah, introduce me.
This is my old mule skinning buddy, Drew Jackson. He's driven everything on 4 wheels from here to hell and back. Or was it Kansas?
Same difference. All the same.
What you been up to, Drew? I haven't seen you in forever. You been hanging down around Ned's cabin? Find that gold yet?
Yeah, we were down there. I've been down there, poked around with him. And, you know, we thought we really had something, but
Have what? You said gold.
she don't miss much, does she?
She don't.
No, she don't. Yeah, we used to poke around there. Our friend Ned used to be a Colorado Ranger. Well, he's got a bunch of wild ideas that he's got gold down there in the Wet Mountain Valley. So he thought he found it. Him and his ranger buddies, a few of them, were coming back from some trouble out in Alamosa. And they came up through the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, and sure enough, they got caught up in a blizzard. And boy, it was a bad one. That snow was just flying sideways and hitting just like buckshot. It was so cold. Well, they thought they were goners for sure, but you know what? They found them a cave up there at about 11,000, 12,000 feet. So they got in that cave and was going to spend the night there. They got the horses all situated and everything. A couple of the old boys go back to the back of that cave, way in the back. And what do you think they find? Some gold bars back there. Nice gold bars. They figured they were left there by the Spaniards, or maybe even the Indians. I don't know. Could have been the Indians.
How much you figure there was?
Well, as I recall, the way Ned Reddick describes it, there was quite a bit. Anyway, they spent another night in that cave. The next day, they each took a gold bar and they headed off to Silver Cliff to celebrate. But when they got to the city limits, they decided they weren't going to tell anybody else where the gold was, and they made a pact. Well, I don't know how much booze one gold bar will buy, but my theory is they drink in Silver Cliff for 3 months. They said they were going to go find the gold when the weather got warmer, so that summer they all got together, and not one of them could remember where the damn cave was.
You can't be serious. Zach, why aren't you out there trying to find that gold with them? There's gold out there. Somebody ought to be serious about finding it.
Well, Charlie, you see, sometimes a man's got to be careful where he puts his energy. Now, Zach here, he offered to stake on all those claims down there, but at that time, Ned wasn't ready to put that ranger and law dog job. So, Zach put his money right back into the saloon here and expanded it, and it works out today. Well, of course, after he did that, then Ned comes along and says, "Oh, can you stake it?" Well, you know, sometimes it's all about being in the right place at the wrong time.
Or the other way around.
Yeah, the other way around, right there. So how did a pretty young thing like you get way out here in this western place?
Well, originally I'm from New York,
Yeah?
but when the panic hit, my Mohawk brother and I ended up moving out west to Pennsylvania.
Really?
From there, well, they wanted me to work in a mill of some
That's
sort.
mine, you scoundrel.
You're too pretty to be working in a mill.
Well, thank you, Drew, but I wasn't having no mill work, so I took a little money I had to my name, and I moved out west. Ended up in Cripple Creek sooner or later, and then I ended up right here. When I ran out of options, I took up the job I have now, and I've been with Miss Florabelle ever since.
Oh, good.
What about you, Drew? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Illinois. That's where I was born and raised. My mom and my sister still there. But my dad died when I was real young, about 11, 12 years old. he died, and I had to start working at that point in time because I had to help support Mom and my sister. So I took me a job running on the stage line there in Southern Illinois. Learned all about stagecoach driving and all that stuff. And it was a good job. I liked it. Then that war come along, you know. We all had to go do whatever we were going to do in the war. But I did that, and then when the war was over, I went to work for Wells Fargo because they went transcontinental all the way across the United States. And I don't know about this. Anyway, when I was doing the Wells Fargo run, I came out to Colorado several times, went through Wyoming, different places, and I found out I really liked it out here out west. So, but the problem with the stagecoach was the train. You know, they drove that.
You're rambling on like an old woman. Well, I remember when you used to come in here, you used to drink, you used to go home and go to bed. Now you come in here, you drink, you go to bed, and you go home.
Well, here's the whole time. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. The Wells Fargo thing was kind of going to fade out because I saw the trains was going to take over. So I quit that job and started kind of rambling around the West a little here, there, and everywhere. Did a little bank guard stuff, but that's a boring job being a bank guard. That was the boringest damn job I ever had in my life. Most of all I did was open the door for little old ladies for the most part. Nobody ever tried to rob it or anything, so that's kind of boring. But anyway, I drifted around and ended up down in Texas. Worked for a fellow down there named Charles Goodnight.
Oh, I suppose you're going to tell me you invented the Goodnight Loving Trail?
That's just a little bit part of it.
Ah.
Just a little bit of it. Just a little bit of it. Anyway, that's where I ran into my friend Zeke, and we kind of been partnered up ever since then. You know, Zeke.
Say, where is Zeke anyway?
He's around somewhere. I don't know where he's at. I'll probably go look for him here in a minute, but he'll be in here looking for money soon enough.
Is he playing poker at Jake Smith's tonight?
I believe he is. How'd you know that?
Some of my friends are down there. Zeke any good?
Zeke's good at doing roughhouse stuff. That's about it. If it comes to thinking, he's not too good at that.
Well, then we'll see him sooner than later.
Probably so. Probably so.
You know, did you guys hear about Jake Schmidt's last run-in with the law?
Nope.
Another one?
Oh, Chief Birdsall got him. This is a good one.
Uh-oh.
You know he has a restaurant next to his saloon.
Yeah, but doesn't he call it a delicatessen or something? And the saloon's a beer hall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all those sausages and little pastries and that kind of stuff.
Well, anyway, the food is great there. That's not why Jake's in trouble. The reason why Jake's in trouble is because he gets this idea he wants to serve beer with that good food. And besides, he says that's what they do back home in Germany. He's not serving to married women. And the dining hall is not directly connected to the beer hall. So anyway, Chief Birdsall gets wind of this, and he goes down there and hauls Jake in on about 10 different charges, including one. A single woman snuck into the beer hall for lunch and got served. So anyway, Jake goes before the judge and he says, "Judge, you know I clearly have signs posted everywhere about bawdy house girls and fast women not allowed in my fine establishment. None of this applies to you, Miss Laura Bell. I'm sorry." Jake Schmidt says, "What? There's no law against serving a married woman alcohol." So anyway, they go round and round, and Birdsall keeps accusing him of serving alcohol. And Jake says, "You know what?" He says, "The women weren't drinking beer. That was soda water." And Chief Birdsall says, "You know what? It was too amber colored, and there was foam on the glass." So anyway, they go round and round, and it goes before the judge. So he finally makes a decision. He bangs his gavel down on the bench, and he says, "Guilty on one count of serving a woman in your beer hall, and not guilty on account of serving women in your restaurant." You know, Jake got off with just a $25 fine.
If that's the case, then Jake sure will clean out Zeke tonight.
I'm surprised Zach ain't told you nothing about my friend Zeke. He's quite the character. He's been kicked out of here at least once or twice.
He's not allowed in.
He's not allowed in. He'll be amazing. He's not allowed in. Yeah, he got kicked out here one time. I remember he was in here that one time, and he was kind of making time with a gal like you down at the other end of the bar. He was way down here somewhere. He was down here making time with her, and just, you know, they were getting kind of cozy and having a good time. But you got to understand, Zeke's kind of a literal guy. doesn't really get subtlety and nuance too much, so he didn't understand what kind of girl he was talking to. He thought he was talking to just a nice little girl there in the bar. So they're sparking and getting along pretty good, and pretty soon this old cowboy comes in. Well, this cowboy, he's had a few drinks. He's feeling pretty good. He sees what's going on down at the end of the bar there. He says, hey, I want to get in on some of that. So he goes in there, kind of gets in between Zeke and this gal. Well, Zeke proceeds to tell him to get away, that he's, getting in his way there. So the cowboy at that point says, look, Zeke, and he tells him all about the gal, what kind of gal she is. And that didn't set well with Zeke. He didn't like that at all. So he just hauls off and pops the guy right square in the nose. Blood went everywhere, and Zach's guys came and just drug him out, threw him out on the thoroughfare. Well, about that time, a couple blurred Saul's deputies come by. They grab him, walk him down, throw him in the jail. I come back in. What time was that? Midnight, 1 o'clock. I come back in probably
Late.
Yeah. Ask him, where'd Zeke go? Zach says, I threw him out. I don't know where he's at. Well, I went home. Then heck with it, went home. Got to the sheriff's office the next day. Sure enough, there he was in the bar, in the jail. And asked the sheriff, asked Birdsall, what's the deal? How much damage do I got to pay? Because I always got to pay for Zeke's damages. He said, no, just get him the hell out of town. Don't let him back in anymore. So whenever Zeke comes to town, I got to be real careful. In fact, I might go see if I can find him back here. I see him. Yeah, I don't know where.
Talk about getting kicked out of town. You guys remember Arkansas Ike?
The name sounds familiar.
Arkansas Ike came to town. No one could stand to be around him on account he stunk bad. Terrible. No one wanted to be around him. So Arkansas Ike and his son, they're drinking down the street at the Irish bar. They're just causing all kinds of fuss and commotion, and Birdsall goes down there, arrests Arkansas Ike, and puts him in the jail. So the constable goes down there and has the nerve to ask Arkansas Ike, when's the last time you took a bath? Arkansas Ike says, last spring. The constable's like, how do you know that? Arkansas Ike says, well, because 2.5 years ago I bought 6 bars of soap and I have 5.5 bars left. That's how I know. So these things tend to work out pretty peaceable in the end. They suspended the sentence on Arkansas Ike if he would take a bath at least once a week. Well, that worked for a couple months, but 3 weeks ago Arkansas Ike went out of town and everybody's happy.
I heard about him from one Amazing Major's girls. I guess she wouldn't let him in her place, and he took it something fierce. But I know Miss Laura Bell's told us to keep an eye out for him. That is at least to watch our noses. But my friend Maud had a run-in with him a few weeks back. That is until she almost ran the other way.
You say it's a poker tournament. Why don't you have a poker tournament here?
Because Pharaoh's the only game in town. Besides, if I take down one of my poker tables for a Pharaoh table, half of my good customers will leave. And besides, Miss Charlie Boone here prefers Pharaoh.
Glad you were listening, Zach. Truth is, Drew, what I'd really like to do is get a good racetrack out here. Some mighty fine stock.
We got a racetrack, don't we?
Oh yeah, Charlie, we have a racetrack here.
Where is this racetrack?
Oh well, it may not be here anymore, but I don't know. But anyway, you guys ever heard of Scott Kelly and Seth Scheidler?
Can't say I have.
Well, they made a bunch of money up on the mountain, gold. They had a lot of money, so they invested their money in horses. Well, eventually, Scott Kelly and Seth Scheidler, they have a race. Seth Scheider's horse wins. Well, Jake Kelly got tired of losing to Scheider, so anyway, that's where Frank Flanagan comes in. Frank Flanagan thinks he can beat Seth's horse. So they have a meeting and Seth challenges Frank Flanagan to a race. But the part of it was, Seth Scheider, he had one of the best horse trainers in the lane. He fired and decided to train his own horse. Frank Flanagan went to Denver and got even a better horse trainer to train his. Word spreads like wildfire everywhere. So the men start making bets on the horses. Well, all the Germans but one bet on Scheider's. and all the Irish fellows bet on Flanagan. They and the men got together and they decided we're going to build a racetrack up north on the Mesa. Quarter-mile racetrack. Then, of course, they needed some judges, so they got Mr. Foster and Mr. Kinsman. And they aren't known to gamble, so they thought it'd be a fair race.
I didn't drink either, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, Flanagan's horse won by 8 lengths. Seth Schreider staked everything on his own horse save for an oxen and a wagon. Rumor is now he's a peddler. And you guys know who the only German fellow was to bet on the Irish horse? Jay Schmidt, that's how he got his restaurant.
Yeah, okay, that's what I figured.
Well, what happened to the racetrack? This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
It might be still there, I don't know.
Charlie, I'm telling you, this ain't St. Louis. There isn't that much interest.
All right. I'll just have to find me one of those rich Colorado Springs gents to help me get a good track out here.
Been there a few around tonight?
They're probably off somewhere. You never know, though.
Yeah.
But I know some girls in Cripple Creek who know those fellas. You might know one of them, Drew. Pearl DeVere?
Oh, she's out of my price range.
I'd say she is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
When it's about $250 a night.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not even her real name. She just liked the name Pearl. Her real name was Isabel Martin.
Huh.
But her house, that homestead parlor, finest the Cripple Creek has ever seen. And her girls, they're the prettiest and smartest. Next to me, of course, that is.
Yeah, poor girl.
But boy, does she take good care of her girls. Doctor exams every month. And some of her clientele. I've heard tell that Spencer Penrose was one of them. If I could get him or some of his friends to get me a nice racetrack, I'll be off and going.
I'm sure she will.
Count on it. Or if you boys be brave enough to go find that gold your friend's looking for.
You know what? I think Ned Reddick told me there was a couple more claims down there that haven't been sought after as much as they should.
Yeah.
And I think one of them's down near the Wet Mountain Valley, and I believe it's what, George Skinner?
Yeah, that's George Skinner claim. That him and his brother, you know, that his brother and him, they hailed from Illinois too. Well, George always thought he was going to come out here and strike it rich, like everybody else. They all come out here thinking they're going to strike it rich. Well, Bill, he didn't want no part of that. He wanted to stay home and take it easy. Are you paying attention to this? I'm going to tell the story. You guys got to pay attention.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so Bill's going to stay home. Well, George, he comes on out west and ends up in the Wet Mountain Valley, like Zach said, and doesn't find anything, but he sends a letter back to Bill, says, hey, come on out. It's beautiful out here. It's gorgeous country. I know I'm going to strike it rich. It's just a matter of time. Well, Bill don't want to come out there. He says, I'm going to wait till he strikes it rich before I come out there. So 6 months go by. Doesn't hear nothing from his brother. Another 6 months go by. Still nothing from his brother. So finally he says, well, I guess I better go out there and find out what's going on with old George. So he travels all the way out west. Ends up out in the Wet Mountain Valley where he knew his brother was. His brother told him that's where he was. So he ends up out there and starts asking around. Anybody ever heard of George? Nobody's heard of George Skinner. Goes up and down the valley, one end to the other. Nobody's ever heard of George Skinner. Well, finally this one old codger says, you know, I believe George Skinner was poking around up on Horn Peak there. You might want to look up there. So Bill gets all excited, goes and hires him a guy.
As I recall, I do believe this story has an ending.
You know, I'm sure you bored her for a while before I
Not at all, Drew. Not at all.
Well, anyway, boy, that's some stout whiskey you got there.
I served you what I served that young boy.
No wonder he come back. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, he got him a guy, and they got this burro all packed up. And they head up to Horn Peak trying to find out where his brother is. Well, what do you think happened? Another one of those freak blizzards comes in.
Of course.
And they get stuck. Well, they find him a little miner's cabin, just a little tiny thing. just enough for them to fit in there. Well, the burro won't fit in, but it's so cold they stick the burro's head in through a window just to keep his brain from freezing up. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, they pass the night, make it through the night okay. Next morning, breaks clear, nice. Off on the trail they go. They're going to go find out where this guy's at. So they get to going down the trail, and sure enough, the burro slides down this embankment, about 20, 30, 40 feet down. Breaks his neck, probably. They go down to see what's going on with the burro. Well, they slide down there, they're by the burro. Burro's dead. So the guide starts taking the stuff off the burro to see what they could use for supplies. Bill goes looking around. Sure enough, there's skeletons back there. One skeleton looks like a mule or a burro or something. The other skeleton is a human skeleton. Tied in this human skeleton are two leather pouches. One pouch full of gold. Lots and lots of gold. The other pouch has
George's diary.
Oh, you've been paying attention, haven't you? That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad somebody's paying attention. Anyway, the diary goes on to say about George finding the gold, and it was brightening up the blind spot. He was such a good clean. Well, they're looking in this diary and reading. Tells all about this gold's up this gulch somewhere.
But he didn't, did he? He didn't write down where the damn gold was.
It just stops right there. The diary just stops.
You have got to be kidding me.
I would have given you 230.
You know, I think we ought to stop telling this poor girl stories. In a minute here, she's going to head off for the mountains.
Oh, I've been to the mountains. If you boys just draw me a decent map, I'd get somebody to help me find that gold.
You know, I think you would.
I think she would too. Well, what's Laura Bell been up to lately?
Oh, not much, really. Just her usual with her customers.
She been breaking more hearts?
You know, she might just be breaking more hearts.
Yeah. I don't know. She ain't gonna break mine. I don't have any money.
You know, there's one of the fellows she used to hang around was Prairie Dog O'Byrne. You remember him?
Yeah, he ain't been around. Where'd he go?
Well, I think she broke his heart really bad. The Prairie Dog used to be, he's still around. He's a crusty guy, not too old. He's tried his hand at freight hauling and mining and prospecting. Well, anyway, his biggest claim to fame is hauling tourists around. Why, he'll haul tourists up to the top of Pikes Peak if you pay him enough money.
I've heard that.
That has to be a pretty piece of change, but Laura Bell's never mentioned him before.
So Prairie Dog, he hears about this auction up in Denver, and he goes up there just to see what he can see. Well, there was 2 elk for sale up there at this auction, and Hunter must have took his mama. Anyway, Prairie Dog bids on these 2 elk and wins it. I think Laura Bell was thinking he's coming back with 2 prize horses. He comes back to Colorado City with 2 elk.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. How'd he get the name Prairie Dog?
Oh, this is the craziest thing. He had this cage on the back of his wagon with another smaller wheel inside the cage, and he had this prairie dog that would go round and round and round on this wheel inside the cage. So it was the craziest thing he ever saw. So a prairie dog, he figures he can haul his tourists around with these 2 elk. So he's tearing up and down the avenue all the time. He names these 2 elk Thunder and Buttons. But anyway, he can't. They're just not taming up like he thinks they should be taming up. So that didn't discourage Prairie Dog. Him and Laura Bell go parading up and down the avenue here, just trying to make those 2 elk trot, much less walk.
I would have liked to see that.
So Prairie Dog decides to hitch him up to the wagon and take him over to Colorado Springs. But this time, he's going to make him go really fast and take money off. So anyway, he puts the elk on there. He tears off for Colorado Springs, but he's kicking up dust, and all the fine ladies riding side saddle and their clothes get spilled out into the street, and the constable's arresting for disturbing the peace.
That is like.
And then Prairie Dog does it again, only this time he's drunk and they throw him in jail for that. But according to Prairie Dog, he made it from the west end of Colorado Avenue over to Lemon Street in 7 minutes.
I do not
That's
believe that.
unbelievable.
Well, I don't know. Another credible source, Laura Bell, kind of backs that up.
Does she?
Yeah. So anyway, one day Prairie Dog's drinking in the fine establishments in Colorado City, and he's in fine fettle. He and Laura Bell go tearing out for Colorado Springs with the elk on the wagon, hell-bent for leather, Laura Bell's hair flying in the wind, and they make it over to Colorado Springs in 6.5 minutes, according to Laura Bell, who was holding his stopwatch.
That sure sounds like her.
So the constables are getting tired of this. They throw Prairie Dog in jail again, and they leave poor Laura Bell out in the street, left to walk the 3 miles back to the avenue.
I bet she wasn't alone very long, no, huh?
Nope, 3 miners from South Park picked her up that night, took her to her house. They thought they died and went to heaven.
I can that dude. Exactly.
Which reminds me, it's getting late and I better be off to work. Miss Laura Bell will have my hide if I'm not working soon.
Miss Charlie, I think you should come with me. This fine establishment, the Nickel Plate Saloon, is closed. Gentlemen, finish your drinks. I think we're going to head down to Jake Schmidt's and find us a poker game.
Let's go find Zeke. See if we can alive.
Who are these people anyway?
I don't know. Keep pouring drinks. We'll find out. This fellow over here's got a real nice hat on. I know that. I'm almost swapping hats right now, but I think I got a bigger head than him, I believe.
Well, here, let's
Watch out, he's a southerner.
He's a southerner? Wait a minute. Let's see. That looks good, Zach. Better than the other one.
Yes, you right back there.
Were all of you people actual residents of Colorado City?
Yes, and we aged very well.
Except for me, I'm the gray one. I got the gray.
Oh,
She made me gray.
Yes, I did. Just in one night of meeting him, actually.
He's that kind of woman.
Anybody else out here? How about one of you fine gentlemen?
I think you better give the gentleman his hat back. He's probably feeling a little naked over there.
You right there.
Did you ever spend any time in Cripple Creek working?
No, that's actually where I sort of started to look into it. I met Pearl down there one day, and I loved the way she ran her house with her girls. That made me want to start making my own way in life.
She's done a good job of it, too, ain't she?
You know Doc Susie?
I've never met Doc Susie, but I would love to.
Why would you love to?
You never know what you might learn from them.
Did you guys ever have a run-in with the minister, Lamont?
Reverend Lamont?
Now me, I stay far away from them kind of folks.
He would sneak in, and I would give him a drink as long as I wouldn't tell him.
Knowing me with the occupation I'm in, I always have run-ins with those type of people trying to convert me back to the good side of society. But it won't work.
It'll take Didn't think so.
Well, you're never gonna make a buck in your saloon unless you get Sophie Smith in there.
I've heard that.
Well, Sophie Smith, there's Denver, down here. In fact, Prairie Dog O'Byrne lost all his money to Sophie Smith with his con game.
Oh.
And they shot him dead in Skagway.
That's a cold place to die.
Imagine.
He was right there in one of those saloons. So unless you get him as a draw and then get her into a game, you're not gonna make a buck.
Yes.
You've been serving a lot of whiskey there. What would a shot cost?
Actually, at my bar, I sell a beer for a half bit, and I sell a shot of whiskey for 2 bits.
Speaking of whiskey,
Is that the good
And
stuff?
that's the good stuff. You know, he thinks that the bad stuff's for the paying customers.
Oh,
I just run a tab.
I always give my change in tokens, never currency.
Yeah, you're a smart fellow, aren't you?
what does that mean, you give it tokens?
Well, when I was very, very young, about the year of about 1861, tokens became very popular. One of the reasons why tokens work so well in our business is because there's only 2 companies that print the actual labels on the tokens. So, for instance, where'd that one go? So, I sent this to Ohio to have the nickel plate saloon stamped on it. There is no other business in town. This has to be spent at my saloon. And same with the dry goods store down the street. He issues tokens. That way the next time his customer comes back, they have to buy from him. But something tells me, what year is it? 1901?
Yes. What are you forgetting the years now?
Well,
I thought that was the great one.
I'm thinking that the tokens are, they're not working as well as they used to, and I think they're going by the wayside.
Well, I'll take that one now, Mr. Florida.
You can come see me, Drew.
Okay. Thanks, Zach. You're buddy. Well, we gonna go play poker or what? I got me a token.
That's not good at Jake Smith's, though. You have to come see me, which, by the way, I should actually be headed off to work soon.
You know what, honey? It says good for all right. Right there. Plain English, good for all right. Ooh, baby.
I guess I'll be seeing you later, Zach.
Maybe not. But I got the token, Jerry. You never know it, ever. About who?
About you.
Well, I told you I don't know it.
Good, good.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
car died when I was young.
Okay, good, we know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
I poked around quite a little bit all over the West, did a lot of different things, but I think, like I said, I'm going to be a rancher up around there. That sounds like a good thing to do for me. You know, Zeke. Keep Zeke out of trouble. He likes to pop the cork too much.
That's true.
So you got to keep him under wraps.
Well, why don't you go ahead and work with the audience and see if you can get some interesting questions. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thank you.